Hi everybody, this is your girl Vilavanh. Welcome back to Founders Friday, and I am here today with founder and lead empowermentor Genevieve Jones-Wright of Motivation in Action, also known as MIA. Hi Jen, how are you?
How are you doing, V?
I'm doing good. Tell us about Motivation in Action.
Motivation in Action is a professional motivational speaking firm that I founded. And as you mentioned, I am the lead empowermentor. My entire job, which is my passion, is to equip, empower, uplift, and encourage people to live their best lives, to write their own stories, and especially women and children.
So I love that you do that. How do you make this happen?
So I'm very vulnerable and very transparent. A big part of the work that I do is sharing my story to encourage everyone to write their own story. We know, as women of color, that there are a lot of stereotypes, and I love defying them.
Yep.
You know, people told me when I was growing up that because I was being raised by a single parent in low-income housing, that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And I became the very first person in my family to go to college. I studied internationally. I have 3 degrees. I'm an attorney. I've started organizations, including this company, and I'm continuing to defy the odds. And so I take all of the struggles and the pain and the challenges that I've had in my life to show others that they too can persevere and they can make it.
That's absolutely amazing, because that resonates with me so much, right? Single mother, starting her company and organization as a solo founder. I mean, being a founder period is hard. Being a woman founder on top of that as a single mother even adds so many different dimensions and dynamics to it, right? So how has the journey been for you as a founder, a female founder?
It's been amazing, honestly.
Good.
You know, just this past March, I was inducted into San Diego County's Women Hall of Fame, and I'm thinking, me? So
You.
You know, there's just been so much support in the community. I think about how I met you. And so like attracts like, power attracts power.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not doing this alone. I've been undergirded by powerful women like you who encourage me to continue pressing on. And so, you know, you're going to always run into some naysayers. You're
Absolutely.
Run
in
into,
everything.
In
right?
every single thing. People who try to discount you, minimize your work, overlook you. But you look to what you've done, and it reminds you that you've been victorious in the past, you've been successful in the past. If you keep persevering, you will continue to be successful in the future.
Yes, that is amazing and so empowering, and it's definitely needed. A part of the founding process is mental health and mental wellness.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, that's a very big part of it. You know, when I talk about living on purpose and living your best life, writing your own story, you have to understand that you can't do that if you don't love yourself.
No.
So a lot of people talk about self-care, but self-care is self-love.
Right.
You know, we do so much for our community, for our families. How can we be of value to other people if we don't take care of ourselves? And so a very big part of the work is making sure that we do just that, taking time out to just rejuvenate, re-energize, recharge our batteries. And sometimes just resting.
Right. Resting, relaxing is absolutely needed, because during the pandemic, a huge amount of us had to work from home. We're stuck inside the house, told not to go outside, right? As people are coming out a lot more, which is great and amazing, that was a huge amount of panic for people in terms of wanting to get out and wanting to change your scenery and your environment. And your environment plays a huge role in A, how you perceive yourself, right? And then B, how you really kind of show yourself out to the world.
Absolutely. Environment is everything.
Yeah.
You know, when we talk about our children and we talk about trauma, being in traumatic environments, your environments can help heal you, or your environments can lead to you being hurt and being a damaged person. And so taking that philosophy and understanding that putting ourselves in peaceful and calm environments and how we can benefit from that, that's something that I think we should incorporate into our daily lives at any level, and all levels actually.
That is so true. And how do you suggest, with Motivation in Action or through Motivation in Action, what do you suggest to your clientels, your team, and you know, the rest of the world, in terms of how to do so?
Get to a place where you're in your element. You know, for some folks, you don't necessarily have to go to a spa. I know some folks that don't like massages.
Yeah.
But if that's your thing,
Yeah.
do it, because the power of touch is amazing. So you don't have to take an entire day.
Right.
You can just take time for yourself. But if you know that you like the mountains, take a hike, clear your mind by walking.
Yeah.
Some folks, believe it or not, don't like the water. Well, then that's not your element.
Right.
But for
right.
me, I love being oceanfront on the beach and just knowing who you are. And so a real big part of this is learning about yourself. When you notice where you're more at peace, that's where you need to take yourself and create that environment.
Right.
And it's even better if we can create these spaces in our homes and in our offices.
Right.
Because we should have peace where we work and where we live.
What would you give as an advice to women founders out there to really kind of hone in on that self-confidence?
That God has created you, and just pause and think about that. You're God's creation.
Okay.
And this civilization cannot make it without women. This civilization cannot continue without women.
Absolutely.
So I'm a Christian, so I go to my faith. And I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that I'm the apple of God's eye. I know that when he created me, he broke the mold. And as women, we just bring a nurturing touch.
Yep.
Everything that we touch should grow because we're the womb.
Absolutely.
And so as a woman who aspires to be an entrepreneur or a business owner or whatever you want to found, know that you are one of a kind and that you have the power to do whatever it is, because God created you with a divine purpose in mind. And that's how you live your best life, is knowing that the person who created you, he has given you the abilities to accomplish, and that there's a purpose that only you can undertake. Nobody else can be V. Nobody else can do the things that V does.
That's right.
Because God created you to do something.
And he gave you that vision.
Yes.
Not another person, your specific vision.
Yes.
And I resonate with that, because so many of the times when you're going out for funding, you are put in a box of do this, do that, right? And the thing that I encourage even women founders and others that are going out for funding, whether it be through nonprofit and or for-profit, is be yourself. And that's how that really kind of attracts the right level of investment, the right level of donations, the right level of money to be able to get you to where you are, right? So what else would you suggest for other people when they're going out for funding and kind of honing in on who they are?
I like what you just said. You got to be yourself. And to be yourself, you have to know yourself. And that is something that is critically important. But I'm looking at you. You're a bad woman. You got your hoop earrings on.
Hey.
You got this nice, colorful dress on. A lot of people will tell you, well, you got to wear navy blue, or you got to wear gray, or you need to put on some diamond studs. No. Every single day, we should be walking in our own spaces, in our own comforts. And no one should tell us how we should walk.
Absolutely.
And we have to be free in who we are. And every time a woman does that, we make it easier for the next generation of women to do it.
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Absolutely.
And it can be something as small as wearing hoop earrings.
Right.
We're looking at people in Congress wearing hoop earrings.
Right.
This was
red
not
lipstick,
a thing.
the whole nine.
Exactly. This was not a thing before.
Absolutely.
Right? And you know, I look at how far we've come. I also see how far we need to go, because there's going to always be people who tell women that we're too emotional, or we just can't do it because we're mothers,
Right.
or you know, whatever else thing they want to throw at us. But the thing is that, yes, we are women. Hear us roar.
Yes.
We are here.
Yes.
And all of us are unique. And so we have to bring our unique selves into these spaces. And I think that that attracts money. It attracts attention. It attracts opportunities. It attracts funders, because you're not cookie cutter, because you're not trying to be like every other person. You have a different story to tell.
Right.
You have a different presentation. And highlight those things. Be yourself. Tell your story.
So diversity is key. We're big on diversity, right? And diversity provides a huge amount of perspective. Our board is very diverse, and that was done on purpose because of the sheer fact that everybody that provides that input is coming from their own perspective and background and experiences. And us as founders, it's our job and duty to really kind of identify all of those key different experiences and use it to our discretion. How would you kind of describe those different scenarios where, you know, either there's not as much of a diverse perspective in the room, and how do you help people kind of plummet through and be themselves in that?
So really, that's my life work. My life's work is helping our society achieve racial and social justice.
Yes.
And I've had the blessed opportunity to be in front of corporations like Qualcomm and Northrop Grumman and give presentations on just this, why diversity, equity, and inclusion is so important.
Absolutely.
We now have studies that show that the more diverse a team is, the more diverse a staff is, the more accomplished that team is.
Absolutely.
The more successful
It's
that
proven
staff
facts.
is. And so it helps the entire corporation. This can't just be something that we say because it's a buzzword. It has to be something that is deeply embedded in the culture. And so to answer your question, I go in and I push against. I said, okay, I've looked at your website.
Let me see your board.
Exactly. And
Once you put it in that perspective, I really think that's key because it changes a lot of people's minds, right? And identification is the first step.
Absolutely. And being an attorney, I can tell you, as a criminal defense attorney, I'm a straight up litigator. I love being in trial. One tool that the prosecutors always use is taking away people of color from juries. Now, what that does is it actually impedes fair deliberations. Because the more diverse your jury is, the less likely they will lean on stereotypes. And we know that people of color in this country, and I'll say it, in San Diego County, where we are, in California, that we have a disparate number of Black and brown people as defendants, but we have overwhelmingly white jurors. You take one person of color, take one Black person as your juror, when someone who is of a different race than the defendant says something that sounds stereotypical or racist, maybe they won't say it when they see someone who looks like the person who's accused. Or maybe that one Black juror or that one Latino juror or that one Pacific Islander juror will actually push back against it and say, oh no, you know, that's not my experience, or that's not right. We need diversity in every single facet of our world, because that is how we're better. We're better together. We're stronger together. So diversity can't be this fad thing. It can't be something that everybody's trying to get funding for because it's what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be done because it is supposed to happen.
Absolutely.
God created us all different.
Absolutely.
But he created us all as humans, and we're connected. And the thing is that we really got to get together and do this thing way better than we've been doing it for the last how many thousands of years.
So much better. And we gotta also, a part of the diversity piece is we have to give those that have actually felt it the opportunity.
There you have it. There you have it. I always say the people who are most impacted have to be at the decision-making table.
Absolutely, 1,000%. And it can't be a top-down approach. It really has to be from the bottom up.
Absolutely. When we're talking about how do we diversify our teams, well, why don't you actually get diverse people there in the room? Because the people closest to the fire know the pain and they know how to address it. And they know how to prevent the pain from ever happening again. And so we really do have to get to a place where we let the most vulnerable in our communities have the power to speak, to lead, to address the issues, because we know better.
Right. Absolutely, I 1,000% agree. Any message to other female founders that you would provide, and or whether they're female founders and or formerly incarcerated entrepreneurs or anybody else out there, you know, that resonates with your vision, your values, and your idea of diversity?
What I will say is what I always say. Write your own story and never relinquish your pen because someone is always going to be willing to write your story. That's the history of being hunted in this world.
Absolutely.
And so we have to keep our pens, we have to write our stories. And I say that I am a perpetual autobiographer because I never stop writing my own story.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes.
Yes. How do we find you?
So you can go to my website, www.yourmia.org, because it is about putting your motivation into action. And you can find me on Twitter. Don't ask me what my handle is for that one.
We'll post it to you guys.
But I'm all over social media platforms, and I would love to hear from people because I love to hear stories.
Okay.
And we do trainings if you want to be a speaker, if you want to learn how to tell your story, if you want to learn how to write your story. That's what we are here for.
You guys heard it here first. We have so much more coming up with Genevieve Jones-Wright and Motivation in Action and all of the organizations and entities that she is absolutely a part of. I'm excited.
I'm excited as well, and I look forward to us partnering on other endeavors in the future and continuing the endeavors and the efforts that we've started.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen. Stay tuned, guys, for next week for Founders Friday. Hey, it's Vilavanh. Thanks for watching. Wasn't that an awesome episode of Founders Friday? If you want to get more insight from diverse entrepreneurs, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification button. We'll see you next time.